Japan and others lying when the meltdown was clearly going on at Fukushima #1 on Friday. It blew up Saturday morning. They now admit meltdown. The Japanese government admits meltdown as of Saturday evening. Okay? Today, Fukushima #3, with the other 4 plants right beside it, blew up in a spectacular, horrifying fashion, clearly ejecting its guts thousands of feet into the air. Now, let's say the metal containment isn't ejected, and that's what it looks like in the cloud. It's definitely damaged. They were battling when it blew up to keep it from completely melting down. Well, that's what a complete meltdown does, that type of chain reaction explosion. And I'm working on getting Dr. Doug Rockey on as soon as possible. He's in D.C. in hearings, nuclear physicist, wrote the Pentagon's DU weapons program, wrote the literal book on it, wrote their safety specs, all of it on it. We're working on getting him on as soon as possible. I've got Haaretz. Japan nuclear blast could be more deadly than Chernobyl, experts fear. Boom, all the experts are coming out. But I will be attacked and remembered for being right. In this world, being right is what's evil. Knowing what you're talking about is what's bad. I told you Friday that it was melting down. I told you Saturday it was going to blow up, and it did blow up. I told you that was caused by a meltdown. Now they've been forced to admit it. And I'm telling you that 3 blew up. Oh, it's incredible. It's like watching your neighbor's house burn, and your neighbors have got hot dogs on sticks in the fire, roasting them, telling you there's no fire. And the idiots over at, and there's a bunch of others over at George Soros's Think Progress, are attacking Drudge for linking to us and our report that the George Washington blog put out. I called my writer Saturday and I said, write articles about fallout hitting the West Coast. Here's the maps. Here's the reports. My writers were like, well, we don't see any mainstream news on it. I said, well, we'll be the first. That's where the jet stream and the prevailing winds and the trade winds under them come from. And I said, look, George Washington got it right. Post his article, Drudge linked to it. Now it's all over the news. My point is, we know what we're talking about. I do research. I don't make stuff up. Am I wrong occasionally? Yes. But do I try to tell the truth? Do I do my research? Do I bust my butt? I spent Friday night and hours Saturday studying satellite footage, live feeds of the jet stream, reports of previous radiological releases to bring you this information. Now, the big issue is there are nuke plants all over Japan, and I was incorrect. It's more than 2. There are more than 2 other plants separate from the 6 at Fukushima that are in danger. They're having trouble cooling. And so, bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, bottom line, this is a big deal. And you should calmly call your doctor, call clinics. Don't take my advice. Though it's standard procedure to take nutritional iodine for a full-grown adult, 2 drops with the average. It'll say on the back, in a glass of water a day, just for normal thyroid health. But that will fill your thyroid with good iodine so that you don't absorb this stuff. And obviously, even though it's massive radiation being released, and even though experts are saying, you know, that just Chernobyl was 400 times Hiroshima, and that's a small compared to what's happened in Japan, that it's not going to be the type of dose that kills you in a week. It'll be the type of dose that just increases your chances of cancer. But the media should be now telling people as a precaution to get potassium iodine and to take the recommended dosages of it. I mean, if not for yourself, you dumb yuppies, do it for your children. We'll be right back. Stay with me. Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
I have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today, seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv.
Alex has told you that the Mideast uprisings over food prices and shortages caused by fuel costs are spreading worldwide. We're seeing the impact right here in the United States. Ethanol that was supposed to reduce petroleum use and fuel prices hit a 30-month high in February, and pump prices are expected to reach $5 a gallon. Because of shipping costs, food is being priced out of the reach of millions of Americans with an expected 35% jump in the next 60 days. Move quickly while you can still afford it, and eFoods Direct will pay your shipping costs for you. For the best tasting, long-term storable food, you pay nothing for shipping and can put every dollar into food at today's prices. eFoods Direct, food so delicious you can serve it tonight or save it for the future. Take advantage of free shipping by calling 800-409-5633. On the web, efoodsdirect.com/Alex, 800-409-5633, or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We are live into hour number 2. Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com are both struggling under record visits as people try to get the analysis we're breaking down. More reports coming out by the great writers Kurt Demo, Steve Watson, Paul Watson, Aaron Dykes. I've all got them working on different facets of this, but there is a chain reaction happening. 2 plants Saturday and today at the Fukushima facility. Reactor 1 and 3 have blown sky high. Number 3, incredible explosion today. You better believe that was caused by a total meltdown. As I said Saturday, at least 5 hours before anybody else reported it. Meltdown caused nuke plant explosion. Safety board. This out of the news of Japan. Nikkei. Meltdown caused nuke plant explosion. Safety body. The Japanese government admitted that Fukushima number 1 could have only been caused by a meltdown of the reactor core. But meanwhile, the plant spokesman says that it was just a collapse of the building. You saw the explosion. I wonder if the new explosion is a collapse. Yes, that's what they're saying. And they're hoping no radiation has been released, even though it's already been reported since Friday. It's been spilling out of it. Radioactive, iodine, you name it. So that is going on, ladies and gentlemen. Get that through any of you's minds out there who are in denial. Here's Haaretz out of Jerusalem. Japan, nuclear blast could be more deadly than Chernobyl. Experts fear. Experts in Israel and abroad divided on the scope of disaster at Japan's nuclear plants. The Japanese government hasn't provided accurate information regarding the threat posed by explosions at Fukushima nuclear power plant. And you're not seeing footage up close. Remember, the tiny explosion comparatively at Chernobyl in Ukraine in 1986, and we'll show you that video of that for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, was tiny compared to this and was estimated by the London Guardian, a nuclear physicist, to be 400 times that of the A-bomb dropped on Hiroshima. It appears that immediately after the earthquake, warnings were first heard. The Japanese authorities shut down all 6 reactors located in the affected region, which lies 250 kilometers north of the capital, Tokyo, by cutting off the flow of electricity to the reactors. But the emergency generator, whose functions provide power to the pump responsible for cooling the reactor, did not activate. As a result, the reactor core began to heat up. At the same time, radioactive materials and gases were emitted into the air, but measurements taken indicate the amount was relatively minimal. Yeah, 1,000 times safe levels, AP. The most dangerous elements discharged were iodine and cesium, 2 byproducts of nuclear fission process, that's how we knew the meltdown was happening, that takes place in nuclear plants. These are 2 relatively volatile compounds that can easily spread into the atmosphere. Professor Uzi Evan of Tel Aviv University, who is the past worker at the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission, told Haaretz that these 2 compounds are extremely dangerous, which is why the Japanese government yesterday began distributing iodine tablets, which neutralize the threat of radioactive poisoning of the primary affected thyroid gland. Bingo. People are emailing me saying, how dare I tell folks take iodine? You people make me sick. Even, as the people that are denying this, even recalled that several years ago, Israel had distributed such tablets to residents living in the vicinity of the nuclear reactor in Dimona in the event of a dangerous materials leaked into the air. He also noted that another potential source of danger is the possibility that the measuring equipment used to gauge the heat levels in the reactor core could spin out of control as a result of a cut in power. Or the giant explosions at reactor 1 and 3. I mean, there is no reactor 1 and 3. They completely blew off the map. There's reactor 3 blowing up 5.5 hours ago. Look at it. Mushroom cloud, 3,000 to 4,000 feet in the air. Giant black pieces of equipment raining down out of it. And they say it's no big deal. I will not go along with this cover-up. And it goes on to say that it could be much more devastating than Chernobyl. No kidding. It already is. Warn people. Here's New York Times. Radioactive releases in Japan could last months, experts say. New York Times. Boom. LA Times. Volcano in southern Japan erupts. There's reactors all over the country that they're saying are in emergency situations and heating up. And we know it's worse because the Japanese have been lying about it and covering up. Here's ABC News Australia. Nuclear crisis highlights history of cover-ups. A documentary filmmaker who spent much of his career focusing on Japanese nuclear industry says it has a long history of cover-ups. All eyes are on the industry after Friday's deadly earthquake and tsunami affected the cooling systems of several Japanese reactors, with 2 explosions at one plant in Fukushima. Tony Burrell told PM, while it appears authorities are being transparent in their latest crisis, their record is tarnished. They're not being transparent. It's not been good. The recent occasion is an example of the new regime, if you like, of actually telling people a blow-by-blow of what's going on. What do you mean? They were saying there wasn't a meltdown after it blew up, and only hours later admitted it had blown up at Fukushima #1. Then they list some of the previous cover-ups that they've had. They had to shut down 17 plants in 2003 because they'd been falsifying the records about what had been happening at them. Same thing with 3 Mile Island. Turned out that was many times more deadly than what the U.S. government had said. Now those accidents weren't of a major nature. They weren't anything like what's happening at Fukushima. But they were serious in the sense that the lives were threatened, systems broke down, and those failures to report them were cover-ups. People permitted things that happened. Well, it depends on how you define major. Is this first a partial meltdown? No, that happened Friday. That's fair enough. But there have been serious accidents where people have been killed and injured, and they go on from there. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing nuclear reactors blow sky high. Again, you don't need to be a nuclear physicist to know this is a very serious situation. And that Japan is whitewashing what's going on. And that, yes, there will be some of these particles, the cesium, the radioactive iodine, and undoubtedly uranium, when you see reactors being blown off the map. Now, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I hope that this isn't as bad as it looks. But we know they've been covering up. And, again, here's the headline that we need at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And I got everybody working on this angle right now from different perspectives. 2 of the 6 reactors have blown sky high. Undoubtedly, there's going to be major problems at the other 4 who are right next door to this. What is it going to do to the relief effort? To pump the salt water in? What is it going to do if an earthquake and a tsunami triggered this? What are giant explosions going to do? What is it going to do to the